Recognize this pose? I was trying to imitate the famous sculpture of Rodin, the thinker. Rodin wasn't the first person to suggest that what defines the essence of a human being is their capacity to think. It was earlier on, famous Greek philosopher Descartes, who uttered those words, cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. That it is our ability to think that makes us human. It is that which differentiates us from the animals. It is that which brings us closer to God and the angels. And of course, the ability to think is something which is highly prized in Jewish life and by the Torah. Talmud Torah kineged kulam. Learning of Torah supersedes all other mitzvot. And you could maybe phrase it differently. I learn, therefore I am. But Rabbi Riskin suggests, is it that which defines Judaism? I think, therefore I am. And you could suggest other possibilities, other verbs that you could put in there. You know, I laugh, therefore I am, which I guess some comedians would take. Some people would take a pretty tragic view of life, what has been called the lachrymose. You know, those are the glands that produce tears. I cry, therefore I am. Some people are obsessed by eating. They would say, I eat, therefore I am. I play, therefore I am. Perhaps I pray, therefore I am. Suggests Riskin, this week's parasha, and indeed this week's parasha introduces a book called the Book of Vayikra, third book of the Torah, known in Greek, English, as Leviticus, because it has to do with the Leviim. It has so much to do with sacrifices, and all the different basic sacrifices are outlined in Parashat Vayikra, starting off with the Olah, with the burnt offering, and then we have the Chatat, and we have the Asham, we have the sin offering, we have the Shlamim, we have the peace offerings, which are, if you want more detail, I refer you to the Talmud on that. But he says, on that basis, perhaps we should rephrase it and say, not I think, therefore I am, or not I learn, therefore I am, but I sacrifice, therefore I am. Sacrifices are incredibly difficult to understand in the 21st century. Burnt offerings, all that slaughter that took place in that wonderful building in the Beit HaMikdash, what's it all about? Why sacrifices? And do we really want to get them back today? Some people find the idea quite revolting, all that blood and gore that was part of the work of the Kohanim in the Beit HaMikdash. But perhaps on a deeper level, we understand, as according to the Ramban and others, suggests that the capacity to sacrifice, which was taking something that was most valuable to you, for animals, of course, with the common commerce of people, it was your animal defined your worth as a human being. Today, maybe we would take our cars or something. Maybe we'll take our iPhones along as the thing that defines us as our valuable possessions. Giving up something like your cow or a sheep was to really give up something of yourself, and was to make you think about what you are giving to God. And that's why one of the opening psukim in this week's parasha says, speak to the children of Israel, daber b'nei Israel, tell them, amar talahem, adam ki yakriv mikem korban Hashem. A human being, when a human being brings an offering to God, and the interesting, the Hebrew says mikem, it has to be something which a human being brings. Mikem means from within you, from you, something that you reach deeply within yourself to give. And so perhaps another synonym we could use, instead of saying I sacrifice, therefore I am, we could say I give, therefore I am. For that was the basis of the korbanot. It was inculcating a sense of giving something of yourself, of giving it to God, and therefore getting not only closer to God, but also closer to your own self and to your people. The word for korban, or sacrifice in Hebrew, is spelt kuf resh bet nun. It has in it the meaning as well, likro, to come close, to make God more accessible. So the sacrifices were a conduit. They were a way of bringing God closer into our lives by giving up something to God. What do we give today? And how do we give of ourselves? That's the challenge. Because prayer, which has replaced sacrifices in many ways, is too an act of giving. giving of oneself. Hard, challenging thing to do in the 21st century, to reach deep into oneself and to reach out across the distance to Hashem, to God. But if we remember the words of the great Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran, he says you give little when you give of your possessions. It's when you give of yourself that you truly give. But maybe we would say it's through that giving of one's possessions that you learn how to give of yourself and how to become a better human being. Shabbat Shalom.